Good evening. This is the Walpole Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight is Monday, March 18th. It is 7 p.m. With us tonight, we have Tim Hegler, Judy Conroy, Dave Anderson, I'm John Lee, Bob Fitzgerald, Mark Major, and Lauren Mikowski, the Administrative Secretary for the Board, and Patrick Deschaines from Community Development with the Zoning Board. Okay. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to just take it a little bit out of order. We're going to do the minutes first. So we have minutes from March 6th, and I had a chance to review them and thought everything looked good. Does anybody have anything else on the minutes? Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion to approve the minutes of March 6th?
So moved.
Moved by Judy.
Second.
Second by Dave. Any further discussion on the minutes? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. For Mark. So 5 in favor. Bob, any opposed? Abstain?
Aye.
1 abstention. Okay, so that's it for the minutes. Okay, at this time, Judy, you're going to recuse yourself? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so this is a new public hearing tonight. This is case number 24-1, Wall Street Development, 7 Brook Lane, special permit under section 6C4A of the Walpole zoning bylaws. For more than one principal building on a lot, the application is in relation to a proposed 15-unit residential development at that location. And just, not only is it 7 Brook Lane, but sometimes in the past, we have looked at this as a Burns Ave project, the same property. Okay. So we have some correspondence tonight. We have a letter that was dated March 18th, so today, from Carl Baldoff, the town engineer. So, Mr. Petrosi, there's a number of, it's 4 pages long, number of comments that I'm sure you'll want to take a look at and address. And we have a letter from the fire department. We have no opposition for the special permit. Further comments will be made during site plan and permitting. So we still have more to hear from the fire department on that. Okay. Did we have anything from other
There
boards?
was conservation. And I believe health as well.
Okay.
And then there was also one public comment letter at the end.
Okay, thank you. Conservation, thank you, Bob. And we have a letter from the Conservation Commission, and they have 3 points. 1, the applicant will be required to file with the Conservation Commission for work to be done on site. 2, the applicant needs to delineate the boundary of Trapple Brook River and associated wetlands located behind 4, 6, and 8 Brook Lane to determine if work on Brook Lane is within the riverfront area and/or buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. And 3, currently the erosion controls on the clear parcel are in disrepair and need to be reinstalled immediately. So those are the comments from Conservation and from the Board of Health. The Board of Health held its, the Board of Health at its March 5th, 2024 meeting voted unanimously that the Board of Health is not in favor of new construction within the wetlands and has a long-standing stance on protecting the wetlands and water resources, as well as protecting residents from human vector-borne illnesses. If this project is approved, the board urges the applicant as well as the future homeowners to adopt the standards of best practice for mosquito mitigation and to work with Norfolk County Mosquito Control for spraying and standing water treatments. Institute regular cleaning of gutters and provide proper grading of buffer zone area in order to prevent low points that draw and hold water. In addition, the board recommends sidewalks to promote a safe environment, as well providing separate containers for trash and recycling for residents in compliance with the Massachusetts waste ban. Okay. So, those are the comments we have as of now, and we have the full application. Good evening, Mr. Petrosi.
Great, thank you very much. Good evening. As you all know, that this was a project that was approved by comprehensive permit earlier in last year. We were approached by the homeowners on Brook Lane to see what we could do about reducing the impacts to that neighborhood, since they are now bearing the full brunt of the project with access solely on Brook Lane. So we reviewed the zoning bylaws and determined that it was possible for us to do a conventional special permit application with a density of 15 units, detached single-family units. So I'm going to just take this with me. This is the project that we have approved. We're essentially ready to break ground probably in the next 30 or 45 days. We've fulfilled all the pre-construction requirements from under the comprehensive permit. But we'd like to give an opportunity to propose 15 units. I think the board, one of the board's comments was before that they thought it was too dense to begin with, and what this project does allows us to reduce the density to 15 detached dwellings. It allows us to meet the setback requirements where originally the rear yard of these units was only 10 feet, 11 feet. Now we're at 30 feet, compliant with the bylaw. That's for a rear yard setback. And what I like about this plan is that it allows us to create housing that is, that seniors might be able to move to with first floor master. The width of the homes are a little bit wider, and allows us to do cater to that market segment. There's essentially no changes to the plan, simply just took all the lot lines off. The right-of-way line is off. It's now going to be an access drive. We've maintained the sidewalk and the drainage and the stormwater management that was previously approved. We have filed with the Conservation Commission as under the bylaw, because we do have a superseding order of conditions from DEP. So the only requirement was to make an application under the local wetland bylaw. And we will also be required to file for site plan approval with the planning board. And we would do that subsequent to whether or not this board grants us the special permit for the additional, for the 15 units. There wouldn't be any sense in going that step and paying all those fees and not having an approval in hand. So, but we did file with the Conservation Commission. Our hearing is March 27th, I believe. And we did just get the comments from the town engineer. Most of it is, I looked at, is mostly it's housekeeping in terms of, the layout, and some of the utilities need to be straightened out. But essentially, this is the same plan with 5 less homes on it. No public way, complete homeowners association, no responsibility by the town. And all the rest of it is consistent with whatever you've previously have seen in during the 4 or 5 years we've been here on this particular project. I'm not quite sure who was here at the beginning when this all started, but, originally our vision for this property was always to be a single-family neighborhood. Our original proposal was for 14 single-family detached homes on this property. It wasn't received at that time favorably. So subsequent to that, we've gone through the whole 40B process, and we eventually acquired a property on Brook Lane that allowed us to eliminate some of the issues that were previously a concern for the people on Burns Avenue. And so we think this is a good project. This is our vision, for that area, to keep it a single family in character. And that's basically it. It really is just the which one do you want kind of thing.
Okay,
That's it.
good. Well, thank you for the introduction of the project. I do have one question, and it has to do with the road layout. Is the road layout the same as?
Exactly the same.
The exact same?
Sidewalk, grass strip, everything is the same, just no lines. It's just no delineation of right-of-way.
Okay, because, as you know, we spent time on the engineering of it, you spent time on the peer review, and I'm just trying to, the town engineer is gonna take a look at it and see that all the engineering meets the necessary requirements.
It's essentially the same plan without the lines, if you can
Is
imagine.
it the same plan, or is it essentially, because for engineering, it does make a difference.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
figure.
I think
Roadway hasn't changed.
Okay,
roadway,
The pavement, the sidewalk on one side, all the same.
okay. Good. Any board members have questions at this point? Okay,
I have one, actually.
yeah.
You mentioned this is going to be a privately held, not town. You expect that to kind of be the way it will be for the foreseeable future?
Oh, yeah, well, we're proposing it as a private access drive, no right-of-way. The previous permit that was issued contemplated and was designated as a subdivision, approved as a subdivision.
Yep.
And under that scenario, we would envision that the town would be accepted by the town, the roadway would be accepted by the town. But under this design, completely homeowners association and private way, no town involvement.
Okay.
Okay, so do you have anything from your engineer?
Do you have anything? No, he's here for support.
You've heard about the engineering before.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time with a peer review and going back and forth, and that's was really my first thing, because I'm trying to see how much has changed, and it's a reduction of units, but we'll go. We do have comments from the town engineer. One thing that was pointed out to me, actually, Patrick and I were looking at the plans, the mailboxes seem to be in the town right of way. And you're still, in this plan, the cul-de-sac remains on Brook Lane.
We're leaving it, correct?
Yeah, okay. Okay. Good. If there's no board questions at this point, I'd like to open it up to,
May I just have-
sorry, Paul.
There was a comment, as you heard from the Conservation Commission, about the erosion controls are in disrepair and need to be reinstalled immediately. Could you provide an update on that?
Those have all been done. It's all
been
been
done.
completed, yes, last week.
Okay. And then it looks like, aside from some of the housekeeping, you mentioned that there were some issues regarding the stormwater management report in terms of taking credit for this or that.
Yeah,
So just-
that'll be something that the town engineer and our project engineer will work out, but it's essentially the same drainage report.
Okay, we'll look forward to seeing that. Thanks.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, at this point, are there any neighbors that have a question or comment on this plan?
Cheryl Hayes, 8 Brook Lane. I am the direct abutter to this project now. Anytime that Mr. Petrozzi has contacted me in the recent months, I've always asked him whatever he can do to mitigate the number of houses and the impact to the 3 homeowners on Brook Lane, would be greatly appreciated. So I'm hoping tonight that the board could look favorably on this project, because less to me is always better, especially right now when there's only one house. So I would hope that you would find this project that now it is solely on Brook Lane would be much more favorable than any of the other projects that were proposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening. William Yusevich, 201 Union Street, abutter. My question is, this whole meeting is for, just decide if more than one principal building on a lot. Now, is that granted previously? You know, if you do grant it, would that set a precedent in the town?
No, we have, the bylaw allows like a condominium development, and that's what this will be. It will be single-family, standalone houses,
Okay.
but common ownership of the property. So there's other places in town that have
Oh, it
that.
has been done before?
Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, there's many other places.
Okay, well, that's my only question. Thank you.
What was it? Did you have a comment?
I was just suggesting the Walpole Mall has multiple buildings on a single
The
lot.
one on Stone Street, we did with the three
Yeah.
houses.
Yep.
That was the last one I remember.
Union Ave, too, 255.
Hi, Scott Magger, 6 Brook Lane. I just want to echo the comments that were made by my neighbor Cheryl, that we've spoken to Mr. Petrosi and asked him to reduce the number of units in the development, and he's been very helpful in doing that, and we appreciate his efforts. And we just want to echo that we'd like the project to get moving and be built sooner rather than later. You know, it's been a long time coming, for as long as I've lived in my home. This has been a matter of debate. At this point, construction has essentially started with the land being cleared. So we would just like to ask the board to look favorably upon the project and hopefully approve it sooner rather than later so we can get going. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Just another question. Is there a time frame that he needs to complete this, if it gets approved? Because this is, like Mr. Petrosi said, this is 4 or 5 years now, and it's been granted approval at least twice, and nothing's been built since then. So I was just wondering, is there any sort of time frame involved here?
So with the zoning board and Patrick or Bob, somebody that knows, once you have a special permit, you have 2 years to act on that special permit. Otherwise, you have to come back for a renewal.
Okay,
So he could get the special permit, and he still has to go through conservation, he has to go to the planning board. You know, it could be, it could be some time, and then a special permit lasts 2 years.
No, that's correct. That's under our zoning. As long as he begins within, before that 2-year time frame, then however that construction process goes is.
he has to complete it by 2 years, or
No,
start
he has to act on
construction?
his permit.
Start construction on 2 years.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yes, please.
I'm Joanne Heslin. I'm at 144 Pleasant Street, the Redwood Muse condos. And I'm a condo all the way in, so my backyard and abuts it. I'm just curious to know if there's any plans for like a privacy or noise kind of fence area or something that will go around the whole perimeter of it? Because from what I understand, like the cul-de-sac's right behind where I am, and the headlights would go into my home.
Okay, that's a very good question,
Yeah.
and that's why we have public hearings. So, Mr. Petrosi, is there any proposal for a fence or vegetated buffer along, at the cul-de-sac?
Well, I think we did have something at one time for vegetation or screening along that line. Right now, I don't see it on the plan, but,
I heard it was on the other side, but not by our side.
well, there's been several proposals. We did have some sort of a fence on one side of the property, but I don't think there's anything that's been proposed, and I have to go back to see what was on the previous plan as far as the fence goes along the rear.
Could
You're
you just
talking-
point
You're
specifically?
talking right about here, right, going through here, this section right here?
Yeah.
We're in back of the Campbell's property? Yeah,
Right over here.
Yeah.
Well, there's a few of us who will impact a few of us.
Yeah,
But the
you-
headlights would go right into my window.
Well, we're willing to look at it for sure.
Okay, so that's, as you do your revisions to the engineering plan, or the site plan, would you look at providing either a vegetated buffer or a
Sure.
a fence?
Yeah, sure.
That would protect the neighbors? Do you have any other questions? Okay.
John O'Leary, Washington Street, also a member of the planning board. I look forward to having Mr. Petrosi appear before the planning board so we can go over any issues that will arise. I know a couple of issues, the common driveway and the 64A aspect both need to be seen before the planning board. One other issue, based on review of the plan submitted so far, it doesn't seem to include the 50-foot buffer that's required for a multi-dwelling proposal, as the use table requires.
What part of the bylaw is that?
5B3, I forget which exactly, well, I have it down somewhere.
5B3?
5B13D. It's the section on multifamily housing.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
so, oh, you want to go?
No, I just had a question about that comment. The 50-foot buffer appears under the section that deals with dwellings for occupancy by more than 3 families. So
Correct.
you're interpreting that to mean that
Anything over 4 dwelling units, yes. 4 dwelling units or over.
Could you also interpret that to mean a single dwelling that is a 3-family dwelling? In other words, 3 families as opposed to a variety of single family?
The idea of multifamily is whether it's one building with 15 or 15 buildings with 1, it's still multifamily. And that requirement is under the multifamily use.
Okay.
See what else we got.
So in your view, these are not detached one-family dwellings, this is a
It's a multifamily, right. If there were single families with individual lots, that would be something different, but then you'd have a roadway and not a common driveway, and individual pieces of property. I'd also question, based on the plan, whether the setbacks from the rears of the Union Street homes and from the Brook Lane home are being met. That's a decision for the zoning board. My other question would be, Well, it'll come up when he comes for planning, so I guess I can ignore that for now.
So I just kind of want to go back to how we define multifamily in the zoning bylaws. A building containing 4 or more dwelling units. So I think what you were mentioning, Bob, in terms of the interpretation, ultimately that comes to zoning enforcement. If he deems it as 15 individual one-families, does that really fit the definition of a multifamily?
That's my question.
Yeah, and that's not really up for this board to decide, that's for zoning enforcement.
Well, my thought is, if I'm looking out my back window, it's not going to matter if I see a 4-unit building or if I see 15 one-unit buildings. I want a buffer. But I'm not a butter, so that's not my decision. But I think it's one that needs to be looked at.
So you're talking, this is section, residential, D3.
And it's got
a 50
III, and all the
Iis.
IIIs, yeah.
A 50-foot buffer zone shall be required where the adjacent lot has a single-family dwelling. Okay.
Or is a vacant lot, yes. As far as the common driveway goes, I suppose the requirements, well, they'll have to come before planning, but you may want to determine whether the length of it is an issue for the zoning board also. Thank you.
Yeah, you're talking about the 750 feet for that?
It's not 750, I don't think. It's less for a common driveway than it is for a roadway.
Okay.
I don't know if you received a copy of the
Okay. Does anybody else have questions or comments on this? Thank you, Mr. O'Leary. Yes.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman. Kathy Campbell, 3135 Burns Avenue. I just have a question in terms of the new roadway and the new project planned. The conditions of the 40B required the plan to label all the abutters of the property and the project, and I'm just wondering if that's still a condition, if it's the zoning board or is that the planning board that would make those conditions on the new plan?
Let me, I don't know the answer off the top of my head. Patrick, do you know
In terms of
the
labeling all abutters,
labeling all abutters?
it's typically something that we'd want to see. And that might have to go through site plan review as well with the planning board and how they address it, but we want to see that.
Yeah, that should be, yeah, that should be done. I don't know.
No, it should.
Yeah, that, did Carl, in his letter from today, did he address that?
I'm sorry, I didn't see that letter.
Yeah,
so-
it just came out today.
Okay.
And but I think that's something that needs to be done.
Okay.
It was under his comments for existing conditions on
Okay.
sheet 2.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's something that does need to be addressed, and the zoning board will expect that that's addressed.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else from the public that wants to make a comment? Okay. So, board members, would, anything else before we turn it back to Mr. Petrosi for, to address some of these issues that have been brought up, and also the comments from the town engineer? And I know town engineer, but also you need to check the fire truck turning radius on this. If it's the exact same as before, hopefully that's an easy check for you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think since we just got the comments from the town engineer tonight, we'd probably want to continue. And actually, we'd like to have our public hearing with the Conservation Commission, which is the 27th. And I did submit the fire turning radiuses with the application. It's essentially the same. I don't know if the board would want them to be redone, but we certainly can do that if that's a requirement. I can bring those at the next meeting just to show you.
Oh, I do have one question about the breakdown of size of the units as far as number of, do you know the square footage? I can't see it on the plan.
Yeah, generally speaking, I kind of like to have a little flexibility, as I mentioned before, for people, and not that we're going to, not necessarily keen on cookie cutter type developments, but I think each of the homes will be slightly different, and the needs of the buyers could be different as well. So what we've provided is a dimension to a potential house that would be fit within that confines of that layout that we show. Each of the homes definitely will have 2-car garages. But as I mentioned earlier, we think there's substantial interest in the first floor master bedroom. So generally, when that happens, you need a wider footprint for a first floor master, but that doesn't, the houses could end up being smaller than what's shown on the plan too.
So one of the things, as you know, it has to, with the special permit, comes down to the question of the character of the neighborhood.
Oh, sure.
So what are you talking about square footage for these?
We're looking at somewhere between 1,800 and like 2,200 square feet of living area, not including, any attic or basement finish.
Okay. And you said a master bedroom. What do you think in number of bedrooms for these?
Between 2 and 3 bedrooms, nothing bigger than that.
Okay. Anything else on the board? Okay. So,
Just one thing. Yeah, the character of the neighborhood issue is part of the special permit, so I see you've included some architectural renderings, but maybe that could be addressed in a little more detail at the next hearing.
Yeah,
Just
again,
with some-
yeah,
so the
again,
public
it's,
can
I pulled out several options with the, in terms of a portfolio from our architect. Like I said earlier, we like to have some individuality within each of the houses. That really makes it more of a neighborhood than having a cookie cutter type product. So I'm happy to provide other types of designs, but quite honestly, as the project evolves, certain other types of designs, or people may come in and want something else built that is more their liking, so just would like to get as much flexibility as we can to do that.
Yeah, no, I understood on that. I just think maybe presenting a couple of options, just so the public can see that.
Sure, I'll try and get that for the next meeting for sure. Thank you.
And then the next issue was just on the traffic study. There were some recommendations regarding mitigation, like installing a stop sign. This relates to the 20-unit
Yeah.
proposal. And I guess if you could address what, if any, traffic-related mitigation you'd be proposing for
I
this.
think all of those would still apply, for the stop signs and the importance of signage and other things like that. I think all of those would apply to what in other words, we're not changing the project or any of the conditions that you folks have previously put on the previous project. We're just looking for less congestion and more flexibility with placement of the houses and the number of houses, so it's really kind of what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And we'll be looking at the question about the buffer from the neighbors.
Well, yes, and the buffer from the, at the end of the cul-de-sac, for sure.
Well, that, and then also what Mr. O'Leary brought up, the bit
Well-
about the 50 feet from
Well, the 50 feet doesn't apply because the adjoining houses are 2 duplexes, so it's already it's not a single-family residence, so the 50-foot buffer doesn't apply.
Well, the houses on Union Street are single-family homes.
Right, but again, as previously stated, it's not a multifamily development, so it
If it's
doesn't.
helpful, I can talk to the building
not-
commissioner
it doesn't
about
apply.
just getting his
We'll-
interpretation.
It's,
We'll talk to, we'll
Get an
figure out what the
opinion.
actual
yeah,
bylaw is saying on that, but Mr. O'Leary has one interpretation,
yeah.
and
Well,
I might agree with that. Okay. What do we have for a continuation date?
First. April 1st.
The only thing with May 1st is, that's one that Drew probably isn't going to be here for.
What's going on May
So
1st?
May 1st,
So Pinnacle is on May 1st, which obviously would be convenient. But we did hear that Drew will not be able to be here, likely won't be able to be here. So since he missed tonight, presumably May 1st, you guys would be the only 5 that could vote. So essentially you'd all have to be here for any of the other meetings because there wouldn't be an alternate. We do have the backup meeting for April 22nd. There's nothing on it. I do think
We would need at least 30 days to get
Okay.
revisions to
So
the
what's the
plan.
next May, after May 1st, what's the
I
next
think
one
it's
after that?
May 20th is the secondary meeting in May. Hold on. Yeah, May 20th is if needed.
Okay. Are people okay with May 20th? Bob?
Let me double check.
Actually,
It's graduation weekend.
I think it's
Yep.
a go with that. Is it?
Yeah,
Is that a Monday?
That's a Monday.
yeah. And then after that is June 5th.
so what, from March to June? I don't know.
April 22nd would be at least 30 days, so I know it might be a tight turnaround.
Hey, Rob.
I guess my vote would be for May 1st over
May 1st?
the 20th.
20th, I'm gonna be out of the country.
We
Do
would
you
have a
want-
full board.
Do you want to try for April 22nd? I mean, we could certainly,
It's,
I would say May
So the board
1st.
wants.
I actually have a problem with May 1st. I'm in Connecticut that day.
alrighty, April 22nd
I
would
don't
be
know if I'll
better.
be back. Might be back.
But 22nd?
On the first, yeah, 22nd's better for me. Is that?
I can do
Is that
either.
your vacation, the school week?
Oh, yeah.
Or is it the
No, it's
previous?
the week before that.
It's the week
Oh,
before that.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Before that.
Okay, yeah,
Is it?
that works for
Tough time of year.
April 22nd.
Yeah, I think that's right.
oh, Dave, you going on vacation again?
I hope
Is
so.
that what it is?
So it's, Monday's the first day back.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
'cause we can't be on Vader's Day. All right.
That is school.
No, you're right.
But I'll be around.
Trees.
Okay,
So, April 22nd.
April 20, does that give you enough time?
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so this hearing will be continued until 7 o'clock here at Town Hall on April 22nd, and no further notice will be given, so hopefully people have comments, bring them then, and we'll see a revised plan addressing comments from the town engineer.
Mr. Chair, sorry,
Things-
was there a motion?
No, I'm just saying.
sorry.
Sorry.
I'll ask for a motion.
Thank you.
Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion to continue until April 22nd, 7 PM here at Town Hall?
Motion?
Second.
Okay, made by Tim, second by Dave. Any further discussion on continuing the case? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, we did the minutes, so does anybody have anything else? Patrick, we in good shape?
Yeah,
Okay.
got nothing?
I have nothing else? Well, you good?
Yeah, I just had a question about the video for the previous, but I can follow up with you about that.
Yeah, yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
pull it back in for the other one. so.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, so does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Dave,
Second.
second by Tim. Any further discussion on adjourning? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried. Good night, everybody.